Hey friends, I'm Sharon McMahon, host of The Preamble. Listen, I know you're dealing with a lot, and it's even harder to do it when the world around you feels chaotic. But I'm here to help. Each week, my expert guests and I slow things down to talk about the stories shaping our world, what's really happening behind the headlines, why it matters, how it all connects, and if you're ready for real understanding and maybe even a little bit of hope, follow and listen to The Preamble wherever you get your podcasts.
They say I talk too much, say I ask the wrong things, but if the truth feels weird, then I'm pulling that string. So quote me, it's probably nothing, just asking questions, yeah, that's my thing. Laughing through chaos, digging through lies, if it makes you uncomfortable, I'm doing it right. So quote me, it's probably nothing, say it too loud, now it's stuck in your head. If this all goes wrong, just remember I said it's probably nothing.
Hey, hi, it's Kelly, and this is Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing. And today I'm going to talk about something cool, I think. I don't think it's cool. I was going to say I do think it's cool, but I don't. I really don't. But before I talk about that, I just want to apologize for not having an episode out last week. I was sick, and then the snow and stuff came, even though I could have had an episode out before that. It's snowing right now, actually. Along with, I think, a good bit of the U.S. We got a pretty gnarly snowstorm coming through. I shoveled 5 times today because a friend of ours gave us a snowblower, but it needed a new wheel 2 years ago, and I just haven't gotten the wheel yet. But anyway, just to forewarn you, I am super duper high, so I don't know where this episode's going to go. So you guys are in for a treat, I think. Did I even say welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing? I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, I just said it there. So let's talk about one of the most controversial organizations of the modern era. Also, before I tell you anything about Scientology, I just have to say I came up to my bedroom 2 hours ago to start recording, and I don't know what happened. I was scrolling TikTok for 2 hours before I started. I don't know. I just felt like sharing that with you, I guess. Okay, so to understand how Scientology works, or everything about it, you have to start with the guy who created it, because this origin story basically tells you everything. Anyway, so the guy's name is L. Ron Hubbard. Could also be Hubbard, but I doubt it. Anyway, he wasn't a theologian, he was not a psychologist, and he was not a scientist. He was a science fiction writer. Literally, he wrote pulp sci-fi stories in the 30s and 40s, aliens, space adventures, future worlds, the whole thing. And he was prolific. He wrote a lot. And he also had a flexible relationship with the truth, I guess, because he claimed that he was a decorated war hero, that he had advanced scientific training, and that he had special knowledge about the human mind. And most of these claims don't even line up with records. But what does line up is that he was very good at storytelling, he understood audiences, and he understood how much people wanted answers. So after World War II, a lot of people were struggling, and psychology was still kind of a mess, and therapy obviously wasn't widely accessible, and psychiatry carried a lot of stigma. And then entered Ron. I'm just going to call him Ron, I guess. I don't know why there's an initial in the front. I wonder what it stands for. Should probably look it up. But anyway, in 1950, he published a book called Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health. And this book sold tons. So Dianetics claimed that most human problems, like mental illness, physical illness, emotional pain, came from something called engrams. And engrams were described as painful memories, often unconscious, stored in the mind, and responsible for basically all of your issues. And according to Dianetics, if you could identify and clear these engrams, you could become clear. I said that in air quotes, meaning free of trauma, more intelligent, healthier, happier, more capable, which Sounds amazing. But the process to clear these engrams involved a type of counseling called auditing, where one person asks questions and the other talks through past experiences, sometimes very personal ones. At first, Dianetics was marketed as science, not religion or spirituality, just science. And Ron set up Dianetics foundations, started training people, and began charging money for sessions and courses. But the scientific community quickly pushed back. Psychologists and doctors criticized Dianetics for lacking evidence, making medical claims without proof, and oversimplifying complex mental health issues. And then all of the legal problems followed. So foundations that were created ended up collapsing, and then money issues popped up. And then lawsuits were coming in like left and right. So good old Ronnie boy changed direction. So instead of doubling down on Dianetics as science, he reframed it. And in the early 1950s, Scientology was born. And then suddenly none of this was about the mind, it was about the spirit. So I'm probably going to mispronounce this word, but Scientology introduced the concept of the thetan or the thetan. I don't know. But essentially an immortal spiritual being that exists beyond the body and mind. Hopefully it has nothing to do with me saying that word more than once like Beetlejuice, because I just messed up if it did. Anyway, so according to Scientology beliefs, you are not your body, you are not your mind, you are Thetan, whatever, who has lived many past lives, and your problems come from spiritual trauma accumulated over billions of years, which is a big jump from let's talk about bad memories. Because religions are treated very differently than sciences under the law. So once Scientology positions itself as a religion, it gained legal protections, tax advantages, and freedom from scientific scrutiny. So Dianetics became like the entry point, and Scientology became the belief system built on top of it. So the whole auditing thing stayed. Courses expanded, and the structure grew even further. So Ron created a hierarchy of levels, often called the bridge to total freedom. And the idea is that you start with basic courses, you move up through paid levels, and with each level, you gain more understanding, power, and spiritual awareness. But here's the catch. You don't get the full picture at the beginning. So some teachings, especially the more cosmic, alien-heavy ones, are reserved for very high levels, meaning you pay, you commit, you invest time, and only then do you learn the deeper beliefs, which is an interesting approach, if I do say so myself. By the time Hubbard died in 1986, Scientology had international reach, real estate holdings, celebrities, lawyers, and an extremely centralized power structure. And while he claimed to have unlocked the secrets of the universe, critics argue that he unlocked something else entirely. And that's a system that blends belief, identity, money, secrecy, and control. So when people ask, how did Scientology start? That's how it did. That's how it happened. But anyway, the real answer is that it started as a self-help idea, and it became a belief system, and then it evolved into an organization that doesn't like to be questioned. Have you guys ever seen those TikToks where the guys are walking down the street and the Scientology? I don't know what I was thinking. Let me finish that story first before my brain goes off somewhere else. So anyway, they're walking, and I forget the girl's name, but it's a woman who hands out the flyers and stuff, and sometimes they'll find her on the street, or they'll walk through the door and ask questions about why can't you leave Scientology or something like that, and then she just runs back and shuts the doors. I think this is a group. Am I allowed to say cult on here? Yes, I can say cult. Why would I think I couldn't? I don't know why. Anyway, but what I was going to say after all that is that way back when I was younger, when Tom Cruise was dating, what is her name? I feel bad for forgetting her name, but they were dating. Michelle, maybe her name is Michelle. I don't remember. The girl, I think she was in One Tree Hill. Or no, she was in Dawson's Creek, I think. That's what it was, Dawson's Creek. Anyway, it's going to pop into my head probably at the end of the episode or some shit. But anyway, when they were together and Scientology was talked about a lot, because I think he was a big advocate for them, which I'll get to later. But I don't know what I thought. I thought it was this huge, building that's secluded somewhere that nobody knows where it is. And here it's just on some busy street in, I think it's California they were in. Just some on the corner. Not what I expected. Anyway, oh yeah, it's Katie Holmes, not Michelle. Don't know why I said Michelle. So let's talk about how Scientology actually works in practice, because this is where people either get like very invested or very uncomfortable. So the thing that almost everyone hears about first is the auditing. So auditing is the core practice of Scientology, and it's basically their version of counseling, but like with tons of rules. So in each auditing session, one person, who's the auditor, asks questions and the other person answers them. And the goal is to identify moments of emotional pain, trauma, or distress, not just from like this life, but past lives too. And during these sessions, there's usually a device called an e-meter. So the e-meter looks like a lie detector, but it's not. And it measures electrical resistance in the body and changes in like sweat and skin response. So Scientology teaches that changes in the needle reflect emotional and spiritual stress. So if the needle moves, that means you hit something important. And they use auditing, like when they talk about auditing, they're like, it's for healing and it's freeing and empowering and deeply personal. And some people in Scientology do say that their early auditing experiences feel good because like you're being listened to and you're being told you're improving, but they don't always realize at the start that the auditing is recorded. So everything you say, your fears, regrets, secrets, your trauma is all documented. And that comes in later because auditing isn't just one session, it's a process. And that brings us to the ladder. So these are the levels or the bridge, which is the bridge to total freedom. And the idea is that you start at the bottom and you move up level by level. And with each step, you become more spiritually advanced. And the lower levels focus on personal improvement, communication, confidence, emotional clarity, like nothing too wild. But as you get higher, the teachings become more abstract, more cosmic, more secret. And each level costs money. Not like a donation or a pay what you can type thing. Like it had set prices. Like there were courses, auditing packages, training. It's wild. I didn't know, like it's wild. Anyway, so these costs add up fast, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars over time, and sometimes like even more than that. And members are actually often encouraged to take out loans, put things on credit cards, prioritize their next level, and see spending as an investment in themselves. And the messaging is subtle, but consistent. Like it's basically, if you're struggling, it's because you haven't progressed far enough yet, which creates a loop. Because if something doesn't work, the answer is never, oh, the system might not be for you. It's, oh, you need more auditing, which is like greed, you know? Anyway, so next is the secrecy. So one of the most controversial aspects of Scientology is that not all teachings are available to everyone. Certain beliefs, especially the ones involving ancient cosmic events and alien civilizations, are restricted to very high levels. So you don't learn them at the beginning and you don't even hear them mentioned. You only encounter them after there's years of involvement, significant financial investment, and deep personal commitment. And the explanation given internally is that people aren't ready for the information yet. Learning it too early could be harmful, or that spiritual knowledge must be earned. But critics argue that by the time you reach those levels, you're already so invested that walking away feels impossible. Because now it's not just a belief. Now it's your community, your identity, your time, money, and not to mention your recorded personal history. So leaving doesn't just mean that like you're disagreeing or something. It means basically you're losing everything you built. Sorry, I just hit my pen. I got a cough. I tried not to. But anyway, it means losing everything you built. And this secrecy isn't just about beliefs. Scientology is known for discouraging members from reading outside criticism, labeling critics as dangerous or dishonest, tightly controlling internal information, and framing doubt as like a personal failing. There's even a policy called disconnection, where members are encouraged or required to cut ties with people who are considered hostile to Scientology. And that can include family, friends, or even your spouse. But that also raises the question, like, why does this even work? Because like people are wild out there, like joining Scientology and just like not talking to everyone, you know? But this structure works because Scientology doesn't usually start extreme. It starts like supportive and structured and optimistic. And it promises like answers, and it delivers just enough improvement early on to keep people going. And then the deeper you go, the harder it is to leave because the system is designed that way. I think this is why Scientology sparks so much debate, because people are confused about what it claims to do, but because of how it controls access to the truth. Okay, so now we need to talk about the part of Scientology that most people are actually familiar with, even if they don't know anything else about it. And that is the celebrities. Because I don't think Scientology accidentally became associated with famous people. So Ron believed that if influential people joined Scientology, then the rest of the world would follow. So from early on, Scientology made a point of recruiting actors, musicians, and public figures, especially those who were already successful or clearly on their way up. And when celebrities joined, they weren't treated like regular members. They were treated like assets. There's even a special branch called Celebrity Centers, but it's spelled weird. It's spelled CENTRES. Is that how you spell center? No. It's a way you can spell it, I guess. Anyway, this was designed specifically to cater to famous people. So these places are nicer, more private, and focused on keeping celebrities comfortable, supported, and loyal. Because when a celebrity praises Scientology publicly, that's marketing, brother. I was going to do an English accent and be like, that's marketing, bruv. I don't think that's English though. Anyway, so some of the most famous names associated with Scientology include Tom Cruise and John Travolta. And I feel like these two serve two major purposes in Scientology. And that is to make the organization look successful and powerful and appealing. And also they deflect criticism. So if someone questions Scientology, they can be like, oh, well, look at Tom Cruise. He's doing great, which isn't even an argument for Scientology. But celebrities also receive special accommodations, personal auditors, protection from criticism, and curated experiences. Which that creates two very different versions of Scientology. So you have the Scientology of the famous people, and then you have the Scientology of the not famous people. Like the version you see on magazine covers sounds great, but then there's the version that most regular members live, and it's terrible. I don't know if I should call Scientology terrible, but it's terrible. It's not nice. I don't know why I whispered that. Probably so they can't hear me. Anyway. I'm waiting. Now I'm going to wait till I'm going to end up getting letters in the mail from some guy from Scientology. Oh, I heard you did an episode about this. You better knock it off. You know what I mean? Okay. So next there's this thing called the Sea Organization, and it's often called the Sea Org. And it's basically Scientology's inner core where it's full commitment. So members of the Sea Org sign a contract pledging 1 billion years of service. Yes, I said billion with a B. And it's based on the belief that the Thetan lives across many lifetimes. Also, I really think I am pronouncing that wrong. So my apologies, I guess. Anyway, so Sea Org members live and work for Scientology full time, and they staff the organizations, manage operations, and keep everything running. And apparently the lifestyle is intense. So reports from former members describe extremely long work hours, minimal pay, sometimes described as a small weekly allowance, communal living, strict discipline, and limited contact with the outside world. And education, relationships, and personal goals are often secondary to the mission. I don't know why I just did that, but I held 2 fingers together. When you're doing a peace sign, but you put your 2 fingers together and stuck them in the air. And I don't like that. I just did that. Anyway, so the Sea Org operates on a military-style structure, complete with ranks, uniforms, and an emphasis on obedience and loyalty. Questioning authority is discouraged. Dissent is framed as personal failure, and leaving is treated as betrayal. And remember what we talked about earlier, the auditing records? Those do not disappear. So former members have said that deeply personal information shared during auditing could later be used as leverage, especially if someone is seen as a threat or wants to leave. Now, because I have to say this, Scientology strongly disputes many of these claims. But the sheer number of former members telling similar stories has made the Sea Org one of the most controversial parts of the organization. Because on the outside, I think normal people would be like, oh, Scientology is a cult, Oh, a group, it's a group. Anyway, so like some people are like, oh, it's empowering and uplifting and forward thinking. But like on the inside, it's rigid, demanding, isolating, and punishing. It's not nice in there. But because celebrities have like the spotlight, the world gets like the polished version of like the success stories. But also, I vaguely remember like if like Tom Cruise or something would talk about Scientology. I mean, I was young seeing it on like the magazines and stuff like that. I was like super young. But like I feel like, yeah, it was painted as like a pretty picture, you know? If I'm describing that correctly. Like it doesn't, I had no idea that it was or is what it actually is, you know? Apologies for all the snoring, by the way. Burkle Pants is sleeping nice and comfy on the bed. Is it even a podcast if there's not like a dog snoring or like a cat meowing or something like that? So I guess this just means I'm legit. Do you guys remember that video of that kid? I forget his name. But some kid did a skateboard trick and he was like, that's legitness. Hold on, I want to play it for you real quick. 1 second.
That was legitness. Yeah.
It makes me chuckle every time. Also, like the Vine era was so like, we really did not know what we had, I think, when we had that. I mean, we have TikTok now, but like, I don't know, Vine was so much better, I think. Hilarious. So many funny things happened with Vine that I still quote today, actually. Did you know Luke Combs, I could be describing this wrong, but I think he got famous because he was creating videos on Vine and someone found him and was like, hey, you're great. And then we have Luke, you know, could be wrong. Could have just made that up, but I don't think so. I think I remember hearing that somewhere. Okay, so I was looking for some like Scientology stories from people who were in Scientology on Reddit. And what I have gathered is that like not many people get out of Scientology. And when they do, they're basically like not allowed to talk to any of their family members if their family is still in Scientology. It's wild. I found out that they have like their own jails, their own hospitals. And the reason they're not shut down is because there's cops, doctors, politicians, actors, CEOs, federal agents, a bunch of people all a part of Scientology. Like it is huge. And did you know they torture you in there? Like they lock you away in this place and basically torture you when you do something that they don't agree with. High-ranking people can basically do whatever they want because they're high ranking, you know, they put so much money into it or they're celebrities. But the lower people in like the lower ranks, they can't. They're not allowed to refuse anything. So they have to like do whatever you say. So, and then the people that do get out, like sometimes they'll come to your home, they'll call you, they send mail for like years, they'll send letters to your house. And there's even one person, I'm going to read a couple things from them. They changed their name and their address so that like they couldn't be, I guess, found by them. But I wonder if they still ever became found. Is that a word? Is that correct English? We're just going to pretend it is. Okay, so I'm going to talk about RPF real quick because a couple of things that I came across on Reddit, they mentioned RPF. So I'm going to explain it to you. So RPF stands for Rehabilitation Project Force, and it is an internal disciplinary program within Scientology's Sea Org. And it's not something that regular members experience, only the Sea Org members. So officially, Scientology describes the RPF as a program to help Sea Org members who have failed in their duties rehabilitate themselves and re-earn trust. And rehabilitate is in quotes. That's the official thing. Like that's what they say. But according to many former Sea Org members, the RPF functions more like punitive isolation and forced compliance. So they describe having to do things like manual labor, like cleaning, construction, maintenance, very long work hours, minimal sleep, restricted communication, separation from family and friends, a lower status where you get separate uniforms, separate dining, separate living quarters, mandatory confession-style auditing, constant monitoring, and rules about where you can walk, sit, or speak. Some actually describe it as like psychologically exhausting and intentionally humiliating. And there's also something called RPF, essentially like discipline within the discipline for people who fail the RPF itself. So participation is technically voluntary, said in air quotes, but refusal can mean expulsion, loss of housing, loss of community, or disconnection from family. And members often depend entirely on Scientology for food, shelter, and identity. And leaving the Sea Org can mean being cut off from everyone you know. And this structure creates a strong pressure to comply even without physical restraint, which is wild, isn't it? Like, to be so brainwashed that like they just have to tell you something and then you'll do it. It's wild. It's wild out there. Now, is this even legal? Or is it illegal? Scientology insists that the RPF is voluntary religious discipline, but former members will tell you that it's coercive and abusive. And courts have often avoided intervening due to the religious freedom protections. Like, investigations have happened before, but the outcomes are all different by country and case. And also, did you know something else I found out? That this is not just centralized to the United States. It's literally like all over the world. It's everywhere. I thought it was just like a US thing in California. That's literally what I thought. But no, it's the entire world. So when someone joins the Sea Org, and I mentioned like the whole billion-year contract thing that they signed. So this contract like reinforces the idea that leaving early is failure and that doubt is weakness and quitting is betrayal. And most Sea Org members are very young when they sign. Some are teenagers, some like barely adults. And many grew up inside Scientology, so this feels normal to them. And like once you're in, your life changes pretty fast because then you're working the long hours and you're not earning a lot of money. You're isolated from the outside world and your entire social circle is now inside Scientology. Now, like when you leave, it literally costs you everything, like your entire life. And then they harass you when you do leave. So how does someone end up in the RPF? I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but so some of them may have like failed at their duties, made some mistakes, shown poor performance, or displayed like attitude problems. But attitude problems can mean a lot of things. So according to former members, reasons why someone might be sent to the RPF include questioning leadership, expressing doubt, failing to meet impossible quotas, being blamed for organizational problems, wanting to leave, or simply being on the wrong side of internal politics. And sometimes it's not even like about one big mistake. It's like they might label you as like a problem person. And once that happens, the RPF is presented as the only path forward. And you're told that it will help you and it will rehabilitate you. And like, this is your chance to redeem yourself, because like refusing isn't even an option. Because if you refuse, again, you lose your house and you can't talk to your family, and then they'll label you as an enemy. So while, yeah, they describe the participation as voluntary, like, no, it's not. Because do they really have that decision? Because if they choose not to, then you're just going to make their life hell and lock them away and torture them. But the goal of RPF is total compliance. And also, there's no set timeline. So you're not told, oh, it'll just be like 6 weeks. It can last months, sometimes years. And like advancement depends on approval from the people that put you there. And if you don't even perform well in the RPF, you can be punished even further. That's like discipline inside discipline. That's wild. Okay, so I'm going to read this story off Reddit from V Snow. And she mentions Mike and Leah. And Mike is Michael Rinder. And Leah is Leah Remini. And Leah came out with a book about Scientology, but also Mike Rinder, he was like a top ranking Scientology executive, and they had like a docuseries on A&E, and then Leah ended up coming out with like her book and stuff like that. But anyway, that's who they're talking about. But also Mike ended up passing away in January of 2025, like in the beginning of last year. And he was diagnosed with advanced like esophagus cancer in June of 2023. But October of that same year, he was deemed cancer free. So I'm going to put on a little tinfoil hat, and because they never came out with a cause of death, and say that maybe something shady went on there. Anyway, so I was going to read a couple like Reddit stories, but they weren't, I don't want to say they weren't interesting. because I guess they were interesting. But all of the people who have left Scientology, it seems that most of them were in that Sea Org, like the highest level, and that they didn't like the things that were going on in there with the torture. And some of them said that they were lying a lot, which they didn't like, and that it wasn't what it was, I guess, when they originally joined. Some people joined in like the 70s or something like that, and said that it was fine then, but then just continued to like go downhill and become something that like completely different from where it first started. But yeah, I thought it was wild. And not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping someone would tell like a big juicy secret, but I guess they can't, because technically they still harass you even after you come out, you know? So if they did do something like that, then they probably would be found and possibly, maybe, hopefully not unalived. But anyway, that's where I'm going to stop talking about this now. And hopefully I left you with tons of questions and no answers. As promised, I do have a second episode coming out. It's a big one, and I'm not going to tell you what it's about. You're going to find out when I release it. I still have to edit it, so it's probably going to be out Sunday, but there's a good chance it could also come out late tonight or early tomorrow morning. So I'm super duper excited about it. If you like this episode, or even if you didn't, share it with someone. Please. And thank you. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever else, if you click rate and hit 5 stars and then be like, this girl's so cool, I like her a lot, I would really appreciate it, actually. Shout out to those listening on Nighthawk Radio. If you have not checked out Nighthawk Radio yet, please go do it, because you really might find your new favorite podcast. They have tons of cool shows on there. Shows that I think you would like. Also, I have a new podcast for you to check out. It's called Real Terror. It's not mine. Not my podcast, but it's called Real Terror, and it's pretty cool. And they talk about horror and true crime, maybe. And it's hosted by Steve. And the most recent episode that came out is about this guy from the area that like we grew up in, and he was stealing bones. I'm sure some of you may have heard it, but he was literally stealing human remains from a cemetery in our area. And it's wild. Can you imagine dying and then some guy digs up your remains and like sells them on the black market? I don't know why I laughed at that. I shouldn't have laughed at that. That was probably inappropriate on my part. So my bad. Why am I even telling you this? Anyway, go listen to it. It is pretty cool. And there's some new episodes coming out soon. So yeah, the song of the week this week is called Baby Don't Go by The Terrible Humans. Please go listen to it. Well, I'm going to play it right now, but like go stream it. Go add it to your playlist, you know? Do all the fun things, please. Stay weird, stay curious, go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.
Say something sweet, 'cause I might lose my mind. Catch me falling from this ladder of love. Pushing, pull me tight in your arms. Whisper slowly, you don't wanna let go. Show me maybe isn't all that you know. Call me crazy.
I'm Claire Fallon.
And I'm Emma Gray.
We are friends and reality dating show fans, and the only thing we love as much as love stories is lovingly snarking on them.
Whether you love or love to hate it, listen to Love to See It, our podcast dissecting all the romance we see on screen.
From reality dating shows like The Bachelor and Love is Blind to classic rom-coms like You've Got Mail, we recap in obsessive detail and unpack all the weird messages they send us about love, sex, and dating.
Listen to Love to See It on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.